Hey guys! Hopefully last week you learned about the different genres of stop motion animation and you learned how fun stop motion animation can be. So now you want to make a stop motion movie? Stop motion's fun and it's a great outlet for creativity. All artists know that you have to begin with a plan, especially when it comes to making a film. You'll need to plan out your project by developing the concept, the characters, and the setting, and then the plot. Then you'll create a script combining what the characters say with their settings and movements. Finally, you'll work on creating a storyboard where you'll sketch out the different scenes. Remember to be realistic about what you're going to create. We may have grand ideas about what we would like to make happen, but you will only have a few weeks to plan and create this movie. Go with something simple that you can pull off inside of these parameters. Your video will probably only be a few minutes long, so imagine what you can do in just a few minutes and then make it happen. Module 2 is all about the plan. This week, you need to complete your Module 2 project planner and view this slideshow. Then, after you complete your project planner, you're going to share your 2 to 4 high concepts on our discussion board, and you're going to then comment on 3 other people's posts, letting them know what your favorite high concept of theirs is and maybe some glows and grows about it. Finally, you'll look at the comments that you receive about your 2 to 4 and decide which high concept you want to go with to film your movie. So let's talk about high concept. High concept is the term they use in Hollywood to mean what the main idea of your story is. As you can see on page 2 of your project planner, it tells you to describe your story's high concept and put it in a what-if format. For instance, if you think about the movie Mary Poppins, the what-if statement of Mary Poppins would be, what if a nanny with magical powers came to take care of 3 children and change their lives forever? I mean, let's look at a few more because I think that maybe that one isn't enough for you to really grasp how simple this is. Let's think about Jurassic Park. The high concept for that would be, what if there was a theme park that showcased live dinosaurs and then they escaped, right? Or the movie Groundhog's Day. What if you were trapped in a day that restarted every morning? It's just something simple that gets our attention and makes us interested and want to know more. So on your project planner, I would like for you to write out 2 to 4 high concepts. You can think about these for as long as you need. Feel free to pause the video. When you have your 2 to 4 high concepts, you need to go into our discussion board for this week and type them in there. Then look at 3 other people's posts that they've made about their high concepts and let them know some feedback on which one is your favorite and what you think is really good about that high concept, what suggestions you might have about that high concept. Then you'll come back and you'll write your final high concept at the bottom of this page after looking at everybody's feedback and their thoughts on their favorite that you have listed. After you've completed your high concept and the different activities that we need to do for that, you're going to be developing information on your settings and characters. To plan out a stop motion film, you need to have an idea of who the main characters are from the story. You need to know what they look like, what types of settings that their story will take place in. You can't create scenery, you can't develop characters until you know these things. So I've developed a T-chart for us to look at that really shows how the setting and characters are developed. And I based this on the film that we watched for the silhouette animation last week, The Tale of 3 Brothers. There were several settings in this film. First of all, you have a long and winding road at twilight. That's where it all starts, right? Then you have a river too treacherous to pass where they need a bridge. Then you have, in another scene, a distant village where Brother 1 kills a wizard and with whom he had once quarreled. Then you have another scene, it's the home of Brother 2. So these scenes all need to be created for your film to be successful if you're making a film of the Tale of 3 Brothers. You need to think about what settings need to be created for your film and list them on your project planner under setting. Now let's look at character. Using the Tale of 3 Brothers again, we have Brother 1. He was the oldest, he was power hungry. Brother 2, he misses the girl he loved. Brother 3 was humble. Then you have a hooded figure, which is Death. A wizard who quarreled with Brother 1. A wizard who steals Brother 1's wand and kills him. And then a girl who Brother 2 returns from the dead, one he had hoped to marry before her untimely death. The son of Brother 3 who receives the cloak. All of these, in this case, need a silhouette puppet. And as you think about these characters and think about their attributes or their characteristics, it's really good to help you develop what those puppets would look like based on those attributes. So now I want you to take time, and you can pause the video if you need, and go to your project planner again. And the project planner is going to help you plan out your settings and characters based on the high concept that you went with from the last part. When you're ready, we're going to move on to the next part, which is developing a plot line. In order to create a story, you have to have a plot. The plot allows you to plan out the course or main features of your movie's narrative. Now, your plot probably won't be that long because it's a very simple, just 2-minute long movie, but I want you to really think about what those parts look like, what these parts look like in your plot line, okay? For the plot line, you have introductory materials that we call the exposition. You have a narrative hook that is something that grabs your attention. You have the rising action. This builds up to what's important in the story. The climax is the single most important event in the story. Then you have the falling action, what happens as a result of the climax, and the resolution or the end when everything goes back to normal. So again, looking at that tale of 3 brothers, let's think about what all those parts are according to that video. The exposition or the introduction is, there once were 3 brothers who were traveling along a lonely, winding road in twilight. Then you have the narrative hook. Their path is blocked by death. That's something that grabs our attention. Wow, death, right? Then you have the rising action building up the story. Death offers to grant a wish to each brother. The climax in that is the single most important event. So in this case, it's one brother makes a wish that will allow him to escape the grasp of death. Something death didn't plan for, right? Something that allows them to allows this brother to out-trick him. Then the falling action is what happens as a result of the climax. While the other 2 brothers didn't, they were not so careful, and so death claims them. The resolution or the end is the 3rd brother lived a full life and dodged death until he was ready, and then he gives the cloak to his son. So it's really simple, but you've got to think about grabbing people's attention, making them want to know more about the story, and then building the story, having them go, wow, noticing what happens as a result of that wow and how the story ends, because everybody likes a good conclusion. So as you develop your story, I want you to really focus on trying to get these pieces put together on your plot line, which will be on your project planner. All right, so now you're going to go and develop your own plot line on the project planner. What I want you to think about right now, before you do this, is Western Spaghetti. That film was super short, and it still had a plot line. And that plot was making spaghetti. You don't want your story to be too complicated. Remember, we've got to be realistic about what we're doing. We've got to have realistic expectations about what we're going to be able to make in a few weeks. Because The Maker, that film that we watched at the very beginning, that took over a year to make. You have a few weeks to make a film. So we want it to be something that is realistic. Sometimes the most simple things make the best shorts. Making spaghetti makes a fantastic short. I love Western Spaghetti. All right, so let's go to our project planner and let's look at the plot line that we are going to be developing. When you're ready, once you have your high concept and you've thought about your characters and you've thought about your setting, I want you to go in and I want you to fill these boxes in with the idea of where you see your film going. Give me an exposition, give me a narrative hook, give me a rising action, a climax, a falling action, and a resolution. And bam, that will be the beginning of your project planned out. After you have completed this, you're going to be ready to start writing your script and do a lot of other things that really flesh your movie out. All right, if you have any questions, don't forget that I'm always here to help. And we're also going to have our live Zoom on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. So if you want to come and work with others and collaborate live, I'm here at 1 o'clock with my Zoom. Otherwise, feel free to reach out through email. And don't forget, I'm going to go back one more time to our goals for this week and end with that. Please make sure that you complete all the information on your Project Planner, Module 2 Project Planner today. or this week, and make sure that you have shared your 2 to 4 high concepts on the discussion board, and that you've commented on 3 other people's discussions, and then that you've used all the comments that you receive to modify what your high concept is and decide what your final high concept will be. Next week, we'll be working on developing a script, so be really thinking about your characters, how they would interact with one another, and we'll also be developing a storyboard before we get started. And don't forget, next week is our supply pickup, and so you're going to need to make arrangements to come and get your stop motion animation kits so that you can be making your videos at home. All right, guys, thanks for joining me today. I will see you next time.